The second fight on the main card of a stacked event at UFC 245 this weekend, Jose Aldo making his bantamweight debut against Marlon Moraes. Lots of questions going into this one more than anything. We know how good Marlon Moraes is. We know how lethal his switch lead kick is. We know how heavy-handed he is for that division. Training under Mark Henry, the other thing we've got to bear in mind is that they've prepared for Aldo a few times with Frankie Edgar, so there's lots of good information that can be transferred over to Marlon Moraes there. The other question is, what's Aldo going to look like at bantamweight? I always thought Aldo would move up in weight as he got older because he always seemed to struggle at featherweight. My memories of Aldo, aside from being one of technically the best fighters that we've ever seen in the octagon, always one of my favourites, is that he was always so well paced in his fights because he was always fighting over 5 rounds. So oftentimes he would choose 4 or 5 rounds to fight, and there would be a clear round that he would just rest. He would take off. Like I think it was the second fight against Chad Mendes, he took the 3rd round off. The last fight against Mark Hominick, although Hominick had that massive melon on the front of his face, so that fight was pretty much won. But he just coasts sometimes, and he's very strategic about how he applies his pressure. Now, obviously, this is a 3-round fight, so there's less to be concerned about as far as going into the championship rounds and really testing that conditioning on this first cut. But even so, 3 rounds against someone like Marlon Moraes at that pace, you've got to expect a bantamweight to be faster than a featherweight. I think there are lots of questions around Aldo and this weight class. A little concerned because he's one of my favourites. I hope he's good on the scales. I hope he looks healthy. He looks like he's done it the right way. I mean, every single photo I've seen of him, he looks absolutely shredded. But is the main focus getting down the weight and dealing with his opponent? That's the question. You don't want to be focused on the scales. You want to be able to step on the scales, as a part of the preparation of dealing with your opponent. You don't want to be stepping on the scales as the opponent. And it always kind of felt like that at featherweight for Aldo. So anyway, we'll see on Friday morning. We'll see what he looks like. If he steps on the scales at 135, bang on, flexors, looks great with a big smile on his face, then it's an exciting fight. Very, very interesting. But otherwise, I think Marlon Moraes is a real handful for anybody in this weight division, as we know.